Sophia and I went to the OLLI Leadership Conference this spring. When did we do that? March, April, something like that. And I went to the travel breakout section because lots of OLLI people in Sioux Falls have been asking for travel for a long time. We did it years and years and years ago, probably 10 or 12 years ago. I hadn't done a whole lot of it since then. And the people in the breakout were saying that they had worked with Colette before and had very good success at their OLLIs. So we came home and Thea made a phone call and here we are.
Yes, thank you for that. I feel like when I'm up here, I sound very salesy. I always like to ask if someone's traveled with us. And usually there's someone in the room that has traveled with Colette before, so then I have a live testimony. I feel that confident about this company. If someone's traveled with us, they are going to be so happy to travel with us again and give us rave reviews. And that's so important to everyone at this company. We want you to travel with us every time forever. We don't want you to just go to Norway. We want you to experience the world with us. So it's really relationship building, and I want to be a part of any genealogy searches that people want to do in Norway. I can connect you all with people that we work with there, and however much I can be involved in the process, because I do get to live through you, although I do get to have lots of adventures myself, thank goodness, with this wonderful company. But yes, we have a great moral system. I mean, everything in the handbook, you get one of those mission and value statements when you first start a job, and you always hope that everything's true in that handbook. But I've seen Colette in action the last couple of years, especially with the pandemic and people not being able to travel. And then I've heard that other companies didn't give full refunds. We gave full cash refunds. Even the insurance that you buy to prevent you from losing the money that you put down, we even refunded that. Wow. Even the insurance. So I started with Colette just before the pandemic, and it was a rough ride, certainly through 2020. But when I saw the way they operated and took care of their people, I hope I retire with them, because it's so hard to find a great company, especially in a role like sales, that you can really be of service. It doesn't even feel like a sales role, because you're just involved in people making their dreams come true. And our tour managers that take you all around are really who do the heavy lifting. I get to come out and connect with Thea, and we go through a book and we dream together and talk about ideas, and then I get to come here and do this fun part of the experience, and then I'll meet with you all before departure, a couple weeks before you leave, and we'll go through all the details. But the tour manager that's out there with you every day on tour, making sure you have everything you need, and any accommodations you need, that's the tour manager handles all of that. So things like if you need refrigerated meds, or I had to put in a request for distilled water for one of my travelers, and all those things. It's like having a concierge with you the whole time. So if you're traveling with a group, it's not your job to take care of everybody. It's the tour manager that's taking care of everybody. So anytime a group comes back, I connect with them. I get to see all the surveys that get returned. And I always reach out to the tour manager saying, this was your show for sure, because they are just incredible people.
I'm going to get your screen ready.
Okay,
to get started with this part whenever you're ready.
Sounds great.
To make the slides go, you're going to need to use that.
Down button?
Side to side.
Okay.
Great.
Wonderful.
So we're online and we're good.
And then Thea, will you be able to monitor the chat?
I am. Yeah. So Stacy.
Oh,
We're both on it.
And then are we recording now?
We are.
Okay, wonderful. That's great. All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here with me. I promised myself I would never take meeting in person for granted again. And I just want to take a moment and express my gratitude to see all of you in person, no masks, and we're traveling and having fun. So life is good. I really kind of went into a whole spiel without meaning to about Colette a few moments ago. And I know I sound very salesy, but my background is in social work. I was a social worker for about 15 years. And I became a single mom, and unfortunately that salary doesn't support a family. So my big brother said, well, sisters,
Sorry, keep going.
oh no, you're fine, sweetie. My big brother said, well, sis, you're a people person, why don't you get in sales? And I thought, I instantly pictured the salesperson with like the flashy smile and trying to talk people into doing something that they really didn't intend to. But I've been fortunate. I worked as a recruiter for a couple of years, so I was connecting people with opportunities. So it was a win-win. So I felt like that was a very service-oriented sales position. And then one day I had the recruiter at Colette send me a message to my LinkedIn inbox. And as soon as I saw the message, I thought, oh my gosh, this is it. I used Colette's itineraries to plan a lot of my solo trips. I've done Italy and Ireland and a couple other countries, basing it all off our itineraries. So I was familiar with Colette. And I know I mentioned the Wheel of Fortune reference a few moments ago, but I was in Croatia with a group, and there was a girl that had actually won the Croatia trip that was on Wheel of Fortune in my group. So you never know who you're going to connect with on our tours. Pat and Vanna take our tours quite often as well. The owner and his family, it's been family owned since the beginning of this company. So generation to generation. Everyone at Colette just has these big hearts, good people. They care about what they do. So you're really doing business with a company that you absolutely can trust. And as I mentioned, I want you to travel with us as much as possible wherever you want to go. So I'm here throughout the entire process to make sure that there are no friction points and that you all just go out and have an incredible adventure. Now, I mentioned the tour managers. I want to make sure everybody online can hear the information about that. So you're going to be with a tour manager the whole time on this adventure. You're going to have them from the very beginning to the very end, and they're going to make sure that you have everything you need on tour. They're going to also add some historical and cultural perspectives, as well as a concierge type role. They usually have these fantastic personalities. I always thought it was a pretty nice lady, and then I meet our tour managers and they just put me to shame because they are so gracious and kind, and the patience they have. And they'll just make you laugh and have a good time and feel very cared for, which I think is more important than ever. You have to feel safe and cared for, and like you're going to go out and have a wonderful time, because I know this is a big investment. In addition to Colette's value system, the Colette Foundation had to take a break the last couple years, but now it's back and it's doing different education and nutrition initiatives all around the world. Their goal when I first started was to be carbon neutral by 2022. But of course, the last couple of years were such a challenge for the travel industry, but they're back on track with making those goals a reality. I get paid to do volunteer work. So if any of y'all are involved in anything, any organizations that you need support for, I'd love to come up here and work with you and volunteer. So, I could go on and on about this wonderful company I represent, but I know you're all here to hear about Norway. What a magical place. And I know I told a lot of you while we were talking before we started the show that Thea's inspiration for this trip was because of the Norwegian descent in this region. So I know many of you may be traveling here to discover your ancestry. And I'll make sure you get connected with the people that will help you realize that dream. We have a wonderful team in Norway. We have local guides that will be hopping on tour with you all. So you'll have your tour manager, but you'll also have local guides that live in these different cities. Oslo, when you head to Loen, every single city on tour, you're going to have a local hop on tour with you. and give you the perspective of what it was like growing up there. They tell the funniest stories as kids and what they would do. So that brings a lot of fun energy to the experience. So we have this trip planned, 9 days, 12 meals from June, June 9th, is it 9th through the 17th, right? June 9th through the 17th. And when I was doing my research, when Thea and I were first planning this adventure, June through August was the very best time to be in Norway. The temperature will be about 55, 68, somewhere in that range, depending on if it's night or day or you're in the north or the south. This is considered the most beautiful country in Europe because of the fjords. You're going to be spending most of your trip in the fjords. You're going to be hiking them, cruising them, taking a train through them, just about, and on the water. I mean, every kind of perspective that you can get of the fjords, you will have on this experience. And when we say 9 days and 12 meals, most of the time you are having breakfast every day, and then maybe a lunch on your own, and then dinners are provided. They like to have some free time each day so that you can go get lost in the village, check out the market, take a nap, enjoy the accommodations of your hotel. Because what I found when I traveled with Colette, it's hard to leave the hotel in the morning because oftentimes there are so many wonderful things that the hotel has that I want to experience in regards to spas and different things that are included. So this is our tour at a glance. And if you would just look to the right there, that's going to include our tour of Norway. And the boxes on the left here, more on the middle of the screen, are extensions you can add on. So I'll cover the Norway tour that we have on the right-hand side of the screen. You'll be flying into Oslo. You'll spend 2 nights there, and then you'll head north a bit to the more rural area of the country to Flom. Then you'll head up north to Loen for 2 nights, and then you head to the coast to Bergen for 2 nights. You can add on Sweden, or you can add on Iceland. Our extensions are a terrific price. I will break down all of those details as we progress through the presentation and give you all the information so that you know how to move forward and just what exactly would be best for you. These dates are perfect because you will be leaving on a Friday, and really if you are still working, you only have to take 5 days off because we'll pick you up, get you to the airport Friday, probably midday, so you'll just have to cut out early on Friday, which I do anyway. But we'll get you to the airport, have an overnight flight, get you into Oslo, and then keep in mind, we're going to be coming to get you from the airport and back home again. So that transfer is included from beginning to end, no matter if you do an extension or not, or whatever you add on, we're going to make sure you get to the airport and back home again safe and sound. So when you first arrive here in Oslo, you'll have a welcome dinner, and every single one of our meals are going to be featuring the local cuisine of the region. So you're not going to go to a chain restaurant or eat, some of the hotels, God bless them, they're doing their best, but I'll get an orange that's not orange and a bagel that might be a week or so old for breakfast. It's not anything like that. You're going to have a beautiful breakfast featuring the cuisine of the region. When you have dinner with us, wine and cocktails are included. You're going to be eating at a local restaurant where the locals go and really experiencing Norway and all of the local cuisine. You'll have an opportunity to try everything. So after you check in to the Bristol Hotel in Oslo, you'll drop your bags and then you'll go to your welcome dinner. And then the next day, you'll have a tour of the city. Every city that we travel to, you will experience a guided tour there. So this city has so much to offer. I was so impressed. It's very cosmopolitan. It's a great city for foodies, museum lovers. There's some world-class museums in Oslo. And of course, it's surrounded by this beautiful nature backdrop. So I feel like Oslo really has something for everybody. You'll do a city tour. You'll also go to this Fram Museum, where you'll learn all about the history of the polar exploration of Norway. They'll have all sorts of artifacts from all the history in this region. Of course, the Vikings discovered Norway, and you'll see a lot of those influences throughout the country. They really honor their history. And they do such a beautiful job in Europe of not tearing anything down and keeping it just as it is and how it should be. So you'll experience a lot of beautiful architecture throughout your tour of the city. You'll see the Royal Palace, where, of course, the royal family lives, along with the guards outside. They'll also take you through to the city center. And you'll also see the Vigeland Park. This is a legendary artist. There are over 200 sculptures that you'll see here in the park with your local guide that will be able to explain what you're looking at, the historical perspectives, and the cultural value that these places represent to them. And then you'll have some free time to kind of get lost a little bit in Oslo. When I was doing the research for this presentation, Norway is considered the happiest country on the planet. I've heard, of course, it's the most beautiful country in Europe, thanks to the fjords. It's very, very safe as well. So when you have your free time, you're going to have your tour manager and local guide to be able to give you perspective on where to go, where to spend your time, what to check out that they would recommend. And so you're not spending any time getting lost unless you really want to, because I think some of these cobblestone streets, that's some of the best stories I have with my travels are those unexpected boutiques or restaurants or locals that you encounter when you're just kind of wandering around. So you'll have time to wander and really experience the region on your own terms. So this picture represents you all heading north. You'll be heading north to the Fjord region, which is where we want you to spend most of your time. And of course, all of these mountains here were carved by the Ice Age. You'll see the different homesteads up in the mountains where it's just a miracle that they were able to build up there hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And here is one of the wooden churches that you'll see, the Bergen State Church. This church was dedicated to the Apostle Andrew in 1180. You'll do a tour of the church in this region, and they'll tell you all about the history of this area. So you'll have a local guide there, and then you head to Flom, and this is just such a precious little village. Only 500 people live here. You'll be staying in a historic hotel in a building that's been there for hundreds of years, and you'll do a city tour of Flom. And this is at the Orlands Fjord entrance. So this is where the dramatic, breathtaking scenery really begins on your adventure. And as I promised, you're going to experience the fjords in several different perspectives. This is representing the Flom Railway that you'll be taking, and this is quite a steep descent up into the mountains where you're seeing all the beautiful waterfalls. And I read that there are wild reindeer in Norway, so you'll keep your eye out for reindeer that might be wandering out there, and all of the different flora and fauna in this region will be explained to you in depth by your guides so that you'll know what to look out and even know, what kind of flowers and trees that are native to the region. So of course, this railway is one of the steepest and most beautiful railways in the world. After you head up, it's over 3,000 feet, you descend down into the Flam Fjord, and this is representing that region. And then you head off to Loen, where you'll be checking into the Alexandra Hotel. And I keep mentioning the hotels because I do encourage you to take some time and Google. They are included in your flyers. Our hotels are so beautiful, and all of the hotels on this tour are incredible, very historic. It looks like every single piece of furniture in there is an antique. Just gorgeous accommodation. So please take time to Google the different hotels you're staying at. This Alexandra Hotel is nestled right at the base of the mountains. And there were pictures from people just on TripAdvisor that were taking random pictures where the mist was hanging right above the hotel. But the hotel is incredibly modern. So you've got a spa and a pool and a hot tub and all the creature comforts, but really immersed in nature. So this is the Brickstall Glacier. This glacier drops 3,600 feet into this valley. You'll see this with your guide, but then you also get to climb the glacier in this, it's called a troll car. It's just a little open air car where a lot of these pictures just make me want to take a big deep breath because I can't imagine what that mountain air is like in Norway. It's got to be so refreshing. So you'll see that from the troll car perspective with your guide as you climb up the glacier. And then you'll be checking out the Loen region. And remember, this was the most northern point of the trip. And that's such a beautiful picture. I was telling one of the attendees when they came in that oftentimes when I do these presentations, I say the pictures don't do it justice, but these pictures are just magnificent. So after you check into your hotel, you'll go and see the Granger region, which is an UNESCO World Heritage Site. And you can see that little ship down there. You're actually not going to be on a ship that large. The ship that you're going to be on is more like, if anyone's ever been on a river cruise, one of those smaller ships where it's no more than 150 people taking the cruise. But what a magical perspective, because you've gone up to the top of the mountains and the glaciers, and then now you're going to be so down below with the mountains towering over you. And I've heard this region has these thundering waterfalls. So they'll take you through here. Once again, it'll be guided. You can either, just relax and have a drink and enjoy the views, or you can listen to the informative talks going on board the ship. But this picture represents the waterfalls that this region is famous for. There's the Seven Sisters waterfalls and Bridal Veils and Suture waterfalls. Some of the most incredible in the world are here in this area. And then you'll be heading to Bergen. And remember, this is on the coast of Norway. Bergen, I've heard so many interesting stories about this city from some of my coworkers that have been to this region. Very old world, very charming, Viking accents everywhere, antique shops, breweries, wineries. I mean, it's just a cultural hub, and it's so picturesque too. It kind of reminds me of Ireland in some ways, just that beautiful, lush nature, and then the colored houses and the beautiful harbors. So you'll do a tour of Bergen with your local guide. The harbor itself is an UNESCO World Heritage Site, so it's protected. You'll see the city center and then the Bergen Museum as well on that guided tour of the area. And then at the end of your tour, you'll have a farewell dinner. Similar, our welcome dinners are very elaborate. Our farewell dinners are the same. You'll be eating at the Unicorn Fish restaurant. And I had to look up the English translation because it was in Norwegian, and that's almost like Icelandic. And there was no way I would be able to pronounce the word, but it does translate to unicorn fish. And this restaurant is a local legend, and it'll be such an incredible farewell dinner to toast your adventure. And I love traveling as a group. I know you all will become connected and become friends throughout the adventure. But as I mentioned, I met people that were on Wheel of Fortune. When I went down to Kentucky on the Colette tour, I met people from Australia and New Zealand. folks from Canada that have now become close friends of mine. So it's really an adventure in itself, in addition to what country you're experiencing while you go out in the world with us. And then this is featuring one of the extensions. So Stockholm can be added on at the front of the trip. If you would like to do Stockholm, both extensions are 1,249. And that includes the days, the hotel, 4 meals. It will be guided. All of your transfers are included. This is seamless. You're going from Stockholm, experiencing that region, and we're going to get you right to Oslo. Fly you in here. There's no extra cost beyond the 1,249. That's why I mentioned these extensions, because they are such a steal. So keep that in mind. You can always add that on, and don't feel like you have to add these portions on in advance. You can always do that as we get closer to departure, maybe 6 months out or so. If you wanted to add one of these on, you certainly could. It will be guided, and of course, AVA, the museum is there. Of course, they're from this region. Every time I'm out in Waterloo, Iowa, I sing Waterloo to myself. So what would be this region without seeing some of its local artists and the people that they're most proud of that came out of the area. Iceland, this extension is incredible. I was looking through the time log, the day-to-day schedule for this tour, and you're seeing everything there is to see in Iceland on this extension. So I think Iceland can be another whole trip where you take, 7-10 days and experience it, but this is packed. I was so impressed. So as I mentioned, this one's $1,249 as well. We're getting you to Reykjavik, flying you in there. It includes the air, transfers, everything. So you'll see this Skogafoss waterfall. Reykjavik, of course, you'll get a city tour, and that Hallgrímskirkja church there. You'll do a tour of that church that was built to resemble the region, like glaciers. It's just the architecture in this region is incredible, and I feel like the Norwegian and Icelandic people probably have a lot of cultural things in common. You'll also visit the Blue Lagoon on this adventure, and you'll go through the Golden Circle, Gullfoss Waterfall, the double cascade, all of this with a local guide. So I'm sure you can see why I mentioned these extensions, because they're just packed with value. This national park, I feel like this looks like Mars. When I was here, just a magical place, very ethereal. I did mention we'll have the hometown pickup. We'll pick you all up probably here. This might be the pickup spot. We'll choose some place to have everyone come and meet, and then we'll get you to the airport. We have Sioux Falls Airport included in this adventure, but keep in mind, we can always do a different gateway. If you have friends or family that are flying out of another part of the country or world, we can see what the price would be on that. Oftentimes, if it's a major gateway, there will be no cost increase. It's very flexible, so keep that in mind, and we'll make sure they get to the airport and everything is included for them as well. Elite airfare is always an option. You can add that onto your tour. We talked a little bit about doing pre-nights, post-nights, tour extensions. Whatever you all are dreaming of, let me know, and I'll see if something lines up well with it. And then if you add on another tour, we can get you a couple $100 off that tour. And keep in mind, you're not having to pay for airfare for the second tour. So it really ends up being a great deal. I have a lot of people doing the back-to-back tours, but I think we all really deserve it, especially after the last couple of years. So keep that in mind. I'm not usually excited talking about insurance, but our insurance is unrivaled in the market. So for this adventure, let me make sure that, okay, so it's $399 for the insurance. And that covers you in several different ways. There's part A and part B. So part A here is covered by Colette. We refund you 100% minus the $399 all the way up to 24 hours before departure. You get all your money back, and it's, if you pay by credit card, it's within 48 hours. It is no fuss. We don't need to know why. You know, if you're canceling your adventure, something is happening and God bless, and it's none of our business. So no exclusions, no requirements. You can cancel all the way up to 24 hours before departure and receive all of your money back. In addition to that, even if you don't need to cancel, you are covered for all of these reasons and more. When I had a group out in the world, I did have one lady that was quarantined, and it was pretty charming. She didn't call me or text me to tell me she was quarantined. She texted me a picture of her in her hotel room, and she was trying to show me that the hotel that Colette put her up in for her quarantine had a view of the Eiffel Tower. That was how she was telling me she was stuck in Paris. So anyone that did have a quarantine incident, this being for COVID or any reason, if you're sick, you have up to 14 days that Colette covers you for your hotel, your meals. There's no fine print here, folks. It's happened. I've seen it over and over. People delivered your meals to your door if the hotel isn't offering room service. Our tour managers have brought board games and books and, you know, whatever you need to be comfortable and feel safe and cared for. We have a 24/7 emergency team that is always there, ready to take your call when you're out in the world with us if you need help. They will make accommodations. So keep in mind, we've got a lot of flight cancellations and deviations going on. That's not something you have to worry about with us. I had a group coming in, they were going to be flying into Amsterdam, and the Amsterdam airport had a strike suddenly. So they had no workers, airport closed down. Unbeknownst to me, all I got was an email saying, your group has been diverted to this airport. We had a coach waiting for them when they got off their plane. We transported them to a hotel. They're going to be going to this airport tomorrow. Everything's fine. I mean, everyone was just ushered off out of the airport and on their way. That's how it's supposed to work when deviations happen when you're out in the world with us. So that's going to be our goal, for you not to even experience the friction point, for it to just be seamless and you go on your way and have a little bit extra of an adventure. I've had people lose their luggage, certainly the last couple months, and you go out and you buy some new clothes. Go get what you need, because this policy will cover you. And if you need to take a plane, we just get together and I'll help you through that, because I've got people that work at this company that can kind of expedite the process for us. Because sometimes it can take a couple months for these things to be processed. And I want to make sure that it's just a very easy transaction for you to get your reimbursements. And then I know none of you have traveled with us before, which is very rare when I have a big group joining me. But when you do, you're always going to have $150 off if you travel with us within 12 months, or $100 off if it's within 2 years. So each time you travel with us, we'll take those loyalty dollars off. Because like I said, we want you to be lifelong fans of us here at Colette. And these sorts of details, we just kind of covered at a macro level. We want to make sure you have your passport. We're going to go over all the details in depth before departure. You know, we're going to be checking your passport, make sure you have everything, and dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's, going through the booklet page by page. I will go over everything in detail in regards to currency, what to wear, you know, what you should expect. But in general, all you need to do right now is just make sure you've got your passport valid for, it would be through December of 2023, because you're going to want to have 6 months extra on that passport. This is a new rule. They haven't started enforcing it yet at the airports, but let's just do what we can to not have any hiccups. So just make sure your passport is valid through December of 2023 if you're going to be traveling to Norway with us. And this is a web page. I know we've had some people sign up on here already. This web page is terrific. If anyone needs help accessing this, I'd be happy to help you. This will go over all the details I covered today during our presentation. It will have the insurance information. It will talk about Stockholm, the itinerary day-to-day there, as well as Iceland, the day-to-day itinerary of Norway, what to wear. I mean, it's very detailed, and you can also sign up on there. We do accept checks as well. So even if you want to sign up on here, and then you can just click the box, send in a check. And then we'll make sure we get you where to send that to, or we can, have Thea take the check or whatever. We'll figure out the process. Whatever medium works best for you, we'll accommodate, whether it's phone, paper reservation, online, whatever you need to proceed, we'll make it happen. And we do have $200 off up until tomorrow. This was not a sales tactic. When I met with Thea, we had this promotion going on with Colette, all tours for 2023 that have names come in between June 26th, I think we met on the 26th, it came out with this promotion, all the way up until September 30th, get $100 off. So Thea and I knew we needed to make sure we had this presentation by September 30th. We didn't leave a whole lot of time in between, but keep in mind that if you sign up for this trip, there is zero commitment all the way up until December 10th. So if you decide to cancel between now and December 10th, you receive 100% of your money. You do not spend your insurance. You receive every penny back, zero fuss, easy peasy. So you just let Thea know that you can't go. I process the cancellation, and there's nothing more beyond that. So you receive that full refund after December 12th. It would cost you your $3.99 insurance to cancel. Okay. So although there's a bit of a rush to save that extra $100, you will still have $100 off up until December 10th. If you need some more time to decide, you go ahead and take that time. We have 30 seats reserved. And from what I'm hearing, we've got 3 people or 4 people that have already registered. So that's, bringing us down to about 26 or so. But keep in mind that you can go ahead and sign up all the way up until December 10th and still receive that $100 off and still be guaranteed a spot as long as Thea doesn't sell all 30 before then. Okay. So that concludes the part of the presentation that I have for you all, but I would love to open up for questions at this time.
I do have a question.
Yes.
On the main trip, Oslo and ending in Bergen, what is the mode of transportation between those cities? Is it train or bus or what?
So it will be coach for 2 legs, but remember you're taking that tram that will bring you to one of the cities. And then when you're cruising, you're also going to be using the boat to get to one of the cities. So it might be more like 2 legs going from city to city.
Okay.
You'll be in a coach, which is air conditioned, Wi-Fi equipped, very comfortable. Keep in mind, we're a 4-star cruise or tour company. So anything on tour with us is going to be at least 4-star accommodations.
Okay, so, and when you're doing that though, are you responsible for getting your own luggage on the bus or on the boat, or how does that work?
No, I don't want you ever picking up any of your bags. Our porters will take care of your bags for you, so you won't have to worry about them at all. The first time I went on a Colette tour, I was a little creeped out by my bags being in my hotel room when I went up to check in. But it's a beautiful thing. You don't have to worry about carrying your bags, transporting them. Some of these hotels don't have elevators, so you're not having to drag them up the steps. Our team takes care of that, and we'll make sure we give you all the information you need to make sure that the bags get to where they need to go. So if you're not having to worry about your bags, it's really a carefree experience.
Yes, we have a couple questions on the chat. For the add-ons or for the extensions, is it $12.49 for singles too?
The single price will be a little bit more, but I'll make sure and get you that information. Our single prices are awesome. As a solo traveler myself, I really appreciate that. So the single price will by no means be a sticker shock, by no means twice as much or even a third as much. I would imagine, just guessing, maybe just a couple $100 more for a single for the extensions, but I'll get you that information.
I do have a question on here about cost.
Sure, yes. So through tomorrow, we have the pricing for a double at $4,899. $4,899 for a double. And then for a single, we have the price at $5,599. So single pricing with all the discounts is $5,599. And all you need to submit when you register is the $600 deposit and the insurance if you so choose to take the insurance. It is optional, but I highly recommend it. So when you register, it's just $999 for each person. And then the final payment isn't due until April. So whenever I travel with Colette, I just make payments each month. So it makes it easy. So you can do a payment plan. I can help you work one out, and I'll give you the link for you to go hop on and make your payments if you'd like to do it that way. Yeah, sir.
Is it 600 per person or 600 per person plus the insurance?
Exactly. Yes, it is based on per person, $600 each. Yes.
I know when we talked about this, we picked a tour or two that wouldn't be high as far as like a lot of walking or uphill or things like that. Because some of our members have canes or, have asthma like me. Is there any accommodation you can't make? Like if we had a CPAP or if we had gluten-free needs or things like that?
I have not encountered a situation where we weren't able to accommodate someone. If there are specific mobility concerns, I would love to get on a call with you guys. We'll talk through it. I'll connect with the tour managers that are actually based there that know exactly what the steps are going to be like, and they can really give us those details so you can move forward and feel comfortable about your decision. Yes, this is a level 2. So it's very easy going. You can have more activity. If you want to have a more active tour, there will be opportunities for you to do extra excursions. But this tour, as it is level 2 and should not be a barrier for anyone. And keep in mind that when you're out on tour with us, this is your vacation and you can do whatever you want. If you need a day to nap and lounge at the hotel, or if you don't want to make the trek on the train, we are always going to accommodate what you need to feel safe and happy and have a good time. Because sometimes, I know some of our tours are pretty active and sometimes people are like, okay, I need a day to rest. So just keep that in mind, but I really don't think that it's a barrier for anybody.
Is there a typo on the extension? It says 5 days, 3 nights in Stockholm. Do you get to sleep on the street?
I know.
Experience?
I noticed that too. Yes, that's absolutely a typo. Yes, it's kind of funny when you a pretty mid-sized company, but it's only 250, 300 people. We do big things, but we're still pretty small. So yeah, I do see some of those typos, but don't worry if there's any things like that. We'll always stand by, what we advertise and tell you.
We do have someone online who has a question. Mildred, go ahead.
Is there a minimum number of participants for the trip to be guaranteed?
No, ma'am. There is not a minimum. This trip is going to travel no matter what. Now, if something happens in this big, beautiful world that it is not safe for us to take you to Norway, Colette will cancel the trip and you receive 100% refund, okay? So, yes, this trip will go. This is a guaranteed date. And in lieu of anything happening that would be something that we could, imagine or guess at this time, it's going. So whether 2 people sign up from here or 20, yes, you can all mark your calendars.
Thank you.
Okay, if you're gonna do like the Icelandic one, so then you would have like a subgroup that would be leaving earlier that you would meet up with and see that they got to wherever they needed to go. Is that how that would work?
Yes. So the Iceland tour is intended to be at the end of the Norway adventure, and Stockholm is set up to be, Sweden is set up to be at the beginning.
Okay,
That doesn't mean we have to do it that way, but there must be a reason why they prefer for you to do it that way.
but if you were
Let
gonna
you
do
know what
that,
they're
like
doing.
if you're gonna do like the Stockholm one, then you'd have a separate subgroup that you would organize and they would leave early and then they would all coordinate to meet up with the other group.
Yes, so say, you and maybe another person from here end up adding on Sweden, then we're gonna come get you guys from your houses, get you to the airport, send you on your way, on your plane, get you there, have a tour manager.
Okay.
It's exactly the same. And yeah, you'll be guided and cared for on that excursion, just like you would just a regular group trip.
Another question from online. Could we fly on to Paris after the trip? Would your agency help with that?
Oh, Paris is always a good idea. I just went to France with my 14-year-old daughter. So it was an incredible trip. So yes, we absolutely can, and I would be happy to help you with that.
We have another online question. Go ahead, Kathy.
If we live in Brookings, you won't get us from our house, will you? We'd have to get to Sioux Falls. And
How many miles are you from here, hun?
pardon me,
How far is Brookings?
55 miles.
No problem. We'll make it work. Usually the rule is 50 miles, but we'll make it work for sure. Yes, we'll still get you and get you to the airport.
Wow.
Yes.
Have you been to the Blue Lagoon?
Yes.
What's
I
that
have.
like?
Oh, it's incredible. They give you so there's lockers there. So you'll be able to, put your clothes in and have them be secure. But Iceland is just like Norway, like this incredibly safe country where all the people are so kind. I just feel like there's a lot of cultural similarities when I was reviewing Norway. But yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it's this oasis in the middle of what looks like another planet. And I highly recommend doing that because it's just, like I said, that Iceland extension has all the heavy hitters of Iceland included. And then you could, if you fall in love with the country, like a lot of people do, you could always go back and you're really going to know your way around because of all the guiding, that you got through us. So yeah, it's a magical place.
The sheets that we have in the room here, I can't remember. Are they online or how can people on Zoom get all of them?
So the registration forms or the flyer?
The flyer, I think
Sure.
is what they're looking for.
No problem. So what I can do, I'll send you a PDF of the flyer and then you can forward it on to anybody that would like it.
Okay,
And I can always mail you one too. They're beautiful. Our flyers are gorgeous. They're very vivid. We do a great job printing. So if anyone wants me to mail them one, I'd be happy just so you have something in hand because we do such a good job on those.
okay. I just told our members online, email us at olli@usd.edu and we will email you that document.
Perfect. That sounds great.
Let's see. I think we had one more question. Extra excursions, like not the before and after, because we already talked about those, but like things that you could do during the trip where there was a food tour. What else was there?
Yes, so there will be offerings as we get closer. We usually have those things in place when the tour is booked. Different, but with partnerships changing, some hotels going out of business, there are some things that we're doing a little bit closer to departure, just so we can guarantee that experience is still being offered in the country. Just all the changes from the last couple of years have had us pause that process a bit, but we'll all connect, and I'll make sure you all know what's available to you. But also, when you're out on tour with us, if there's an extra excursion and you didn't sign up in advance, you can sign up on the spot. You can change your mind a couple times. It's really very flexible. So anything offered will be available on the spot. Yes, sir.
How are people informed and included that have signed up for it as you go forward as more details, like you're flying to Sioux Falls, but where are you flying to? And, that kind of stuff.
So all the details, as they come available, they'll be sent to Thea. And then Thea will have a list. We'll make sure we provide that to her of everyone that signs up and registers for the trip. So as information comes out with flight schedules, and then as it changes, maybe 2 or 3 times, we work I shouldn't say we, the air team is incredible. And I don't do anything with it. They're amazing. They pick the very best schedule available. So we will use whatever airline has the best schedule. So yes, all those details will come to you in an email if you do email, but otherwise I can make sure they're sent to you in the mail. But you will have a booklet that you're given. We usually send those out about 3 weeks in advance, where we'll all get together about 2-3 weeks before you leave. And we'll go through all the details together so that you know what time your ride's picking you up and getting you to the airport, what airports you're flying through. We'll talk about luggage and all those details.
Any other questions, folks?
Is it summertime when the tour departs
Yeah.
in Norway?
Yes. Isn't that interesting? What did I say? Let me look to see what my note was. So 55 to high 60s. So we'll probably be experiencing extreme heat. It will be so refreshing to head there. So yes, it is considered summer there. And I did put a couple fun facts. I just think I love what I do, and I've always found these experiences so interesting. So Norway is 98% hydroelectric power domestically. Everyone there has mostly water power. 90% of the population speaks English as a second language. And Oslo is the city where, if you're lucky enough to get the Nobel Peace Prize, that's where it'll be awarded to you. And Norway also invented skiing and is said to be the happiest place on earth. So yeah, thank you. We have a great turnout online as well. Thank you everyone for joining us. I really appreciate your time this evening.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, especially on a pretty night like tonight, temperate weather and sunshine.
So
It's a
great.
beautiful evening. So I'm here for any questions that you might have, and I'm happy to give my business card to anyone that wants to plan extra excursions so we can work together on that. And anyone online, just reach out to Thea and she'll get you connected with me so we can chat about any ideas or concerns you might have.
There's a comment online that says, excellent presentation. You're a very good salesperson.
I'm going to tell my teenagers at home that you said that. They don't think I'm that great. That was so sweet. Thank you.
I would bet a lot of people would want to do a little genealogical research. So if there's
Yes.
places that people can go in some of these larger cities, particularly Bergen has museums and archives in various places.
Yes,
So
and I
that's
think
something we want to consider.
you may have some perspective on that. You said that the churches in Norway have great
A lot of
records.
people, when we went there, their ancestors come from there, and so when they got a day off or two, they would go to churches. And evidently the record keeping is,
Birth records and the baptism records.
That is, yeah, that's fascinating. But, you know, as we get registrations and especially after that date, that December date passes, then we'll get into the details. Anybody that wants to do those searches, I'll make sure we get connected with the local guides that are actually in Norway, and they can help expedite all of that so that you're in good hands with that pursuit.
All right.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, everyone. Yes, and I'll just kind of mingle a bit and see if we have any other questions that maybe.
Yep.
Are there, is there, maybe